Look at those green numbers. What's up, everybody? Belligerent here with another Bloodline video, and I owe y'all an apology. Not because, not what you might think. I want to apologize because I realized going into this White Eye clan that I've kind of failed you as my community as far as the new clans. The new clan release events are kind of daunting. 300 summons is a lot of summons to come up with, so I haven't really done the best job of getting you guys information about which ones you should be playing, which events you should be taking part of, things like that. I think we did the Loom event way back on the very first time they did it, but that was only 200 summons, and I haven't really done anything with any of them since because they have really just been a lot. Moving forward, I have the intent to kind of be involved with all of the new clan events, to do my best to do the summon pulls, to get the companion, to level up the new champions, and let you know if you should be investing in them. And I know you don't want to wait until the end of the event to get this information. You need it quickly. We're less than 24 hours into this event, and that's why I'm getting you this video now. These are my initial gameplay impressions on the White Eye clan. So let me show you what we got. So if we go into my champions, you see we have both the male White Eye and the female White Eye up to 11 stars. So we leveled them both up to where my main comp is so we could test them out. And I want to show you how sad my mage resources are. These are all the mages I have left because I've been leveling and marrying and testing. So we've been doing pretty good with that. So let's talk about the White Eye clan. First, okay, let's talk about the male. The male kind of plays out exactly how I thought he was going to play out. The stun does not feel as impactful as I was hoping, but it's also a short stun, so I could just be not, it's kind of, unless you slow it down, and I haven't really taken the time to slow it down. But it's only 0.5 second stun, so visually it's probably very hard to see, so it doesn't feel as impactful as I thought it might be. But with all of the chaos and all of the zooming and everything that happens during a fight, it may just be difficult visually to see the interrupts that are happening, but it does still do damage, right? It is still causing almost at just the level I'm at, almost 200% of his attack damage. So it's attacking 5 times while it's summoned, so that's at least 5 basic attacks that are doubled for you there. So it's some extra damage at the very least, but it's really all about his ultimate and his passive. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't part of the Valley of Conquerors this week because of the whole beta guild thing. We didn't get matched, so we weren't in there. So I haven't really had the chance to kind of play test it PvP. I did some arena stuff, but there aren't a lot of teams on my server that I don't beat without White Eye, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I do believe the passive is good. The ultimate is just what we thought. And some of you, it's a mini F-Lion, right? It's a mini female Lionstone. Some of you are just, feel like it's kind of senseless to double it, but, to stack it, but I don't like it. It's more buff. And the other thing, so one of the things I noticed, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is that when I was using it at first, it was staggering. Female Lionstone was throwing her ultimate out, and he was always late triggering his ultimate, even when I put him on the front line, because he's ranged, so he still stays in the back line, even if you put him in slot 1 or 3. And so it was always staggered. But even if you're getting staggered results, keep in mind that's more energy generation still, because he is keeping up the additional attack speed buff, right? So if we look at his ultimate again, right, increases attack speed by 20%. That's the same as Lionstone increasing the attack speed, even though it's a typo. If you guys don't know, she's not increasing your attack speed by 300%. So I don't know if it's quite as much. Lionstone might be 30%, so 20, I don't know. But I do know that the 307% attack speed is a typo. That just applies to the damage buff. But it's keeping up more attack speed, which means more damage, which means more energy regen, which is great. I think male White-Eye is exactly kind of what I expected him to be. Female White-Eye, let's take a look at her. I gotta say, she's kind of what I expected her to be too. Healing in this game, just not that strong. I'm sorry, it's not. But her healing is good. Her healing is impressive. It could just be because you're getting big green numbers all over the place, which is different than what you get from, say, M. Loom or female Aeson. So maybe it just makes it feel more impactful because they're flooding the screen with big numbers, big green numbers there. But it feels like her healing is good. I think female White-Eye will be fantastic for Guardian defense. Only problem is, like, I'm already blowing through the 400 levels worth of rewards anyway, so she's not really necessary for, like, a Guardian defense run. I think she also might have a place in Dungeon Descent where healing is kind of at a premium, okay? And she may or may not, I don't know, find her way into some Valley of Conqueror teams to help with the health increase or the health upkeep, but I don't know that she's strong enough to warrant making it into a Valley of Conquerors team, maybe a second or a third team, depending on what you're running. I will also say that I think she has some potential if you build for that potential. My comp is not necessarily built to highlight what female White-Eye does or can do. So I think there's some potential. I don't think she functions as efficiently in my main comp as she would if I built a comp that she could, like a lifesteal, a healing, sustained defensive type comp. She might shine better there. I think she fits in kind of exactly where I thought she was going to when I gave you my initial impressions, which she's not horrible. She's not female Aeson, but she's just not as impactful. She's not impactful enough to necessarily make the board. Okay, so let me show you some tests that I ran. This is going to take place in the Eye of the Abyss. Okay, so you can see here we do our first run. I'm running 3 teams, but it's basically just one team because the second and the third team are just kind of district farmers and other champions that I threw in there that have some high stars, but they're usually ranked to level 1, not a big deal. This is mostly about the first team. So you see the first team here includes male White-Eye.
Give it to me like... Give it to me like...
And then you see when team number one, the other two teams haven't gone, when team number one is done with the Eye of the Abyss run, our damage was at 307 million damage for that team. Okay? Then if I run it back again, and I take out the male White Eye, and I put in female Ugrel, just another champion. This particular Ugrel is actually 1 star higher than the male White Eye, leveled to the same level, using the same resources he was using as far as books and everything. Put him in. Now watch what happens. And as you can see, all 3 teams combined didn't do as much damage as my one team with male White Eye on it did. So somebody asked in my Discord this morning, can you quantify how much he is affecting the board? I can see that you're using him. I can see that your team is being successful, but I don't know what your team would be doing without him. So here is a way to understand, to kind of visualize his impact on the board, the impact that his buff has on the whole team. Now, this is Eye of the Abyss. Campaign and those 5v5 type fights are going to act differently, right? They act differently because they only have 1 target versus 5 targets, stuff like that. There's a lot of charms and stuff that can come out, but you can see how much his buff can impact the team. Okay? So one final thing that people are asking, like traits. That's what everybody wants to know. What traits do I put on him? Well, let me show you what I'm running. I feel very comfortable with the male White Eye build, and this is actually a build that I talked about again in my earlier White Eye Clan preview. Slightly different though, but this is, if you're familiar with my support build that I put out in a video, this is essentially it with one little tweak. So we have his inherent trait, which is Brave, which gives everybody shield. We have Focused for the energy gain. We have Hulking that increases the team's strength, similar. Agile for the attack speed. And then instead of Sanguine, I have Ambitious. And Ambitious made a huge change when I switched out the Sanguine for the Ambitious. And that change was essentially that now I have male White Eye triggering his ultimate at almost the exact same time as female Lionstone. So I'm getting both buffs at the same time. Now, if you're doing like a Dungeon Descent or the Valley of Conquerors, that's not going to hold true because the energy gain and stuff carries over. So eventually after, like if you do a gate crash in Valley of Conquerors and you're fighting multiple teams, right, we all know that those ultimates kind of get unsynced. Out of sync is probably a better way to phrase that. Same thing in Dungeon Descent. Gets out of sync. Some of the relics throw off the energy gain, whatever. But just kind of in a straight up 5v5 campaign or arena, stuff like that, male White Eye triggering at almost the same time female Lionstone is, if not the exact same time. So the Ambitious was very clutch. So essentially, if you want them to trigger at the same time, you need to make sure he matches her as far as your energy gain traits. The energy gain traits are Focused, Agile, and Ambitious. Okay? If you want them to stay staggered, if you have more of a sustained composition instead of a nuke composition, and you want her to ult first, and then you want him to ult after her so you have more uptime on your ults, then don't run run one less energy trait than you're running on your Lion. So don't run the Ambitious, run Focused and Agile. Okay? Unless you don't have Focused and Agile on your Lion. Then you can kind of, speed tune that way if you want. I've been having a little bit better success with them both triggering at the same time, but that also has to do with my comp. So these are the traits that I'm running on them. Now, I haven't had a ton of play testing. I will say this, I do, if he seems to feel too squishy for me, in the future I might take off the Hulking and throw on an Energetic, but I think the other 3 I am pretty confident in saying those are going to stay: the focused, the agile, and the ambitious. So again, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts on the clans are. Oh, I'll also show you what I was running on the. I'm sorry. I'll also show you what I was running on the female. Okay, I was running agile, focused, brutal, and I had hexproof on her. I was just kind of experimenting with stuff. If you don't want to run the hex, I would probably run something like energetic, or you could even go brutal and athletic, because her heal is based off of her attack. So if you go brutal and athletic, you're really boosting up that strength for her to get better heals there. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know what your impression of the clan is. I am Belligerent. Peace.